and I read that book. It's really fun. It's really an exciting book. And okay, Bill, are you ready?
Okay, I believe so. If
Okay.
I may have to have some little help here. I guess I need to share screen first of all.
Yep.
You have control.
Okay, I'm sharing screen.
Hey, Bill,
There you go.
I'm going to mute everybody. And if anybody needs to have questions or ask questions, unmute yourself. But for right now, I think we'll mute everybody so you can. Okay. Unmute yourself, Bill, though. Okay.
There we go. Okay, anyway, everyone hearing me here. Let's see. Let me start by saying.
We got you loud and clear.
Okay, thank you. First of all, without a loving wife of 50 or 68 years and 2 loving daughters, I would never have been able to accomplish this. Fortunately, I've always been pretty healthy and had no real problems through my whole life. And so anyway, I was a lucky guy, but lucky and healthy guy. And so anyway, I got started in running at a very early age, and thought about putting all of my running together into a book form. And as I started doing that, I thought, well, gee, I want to run all 50 states. And when I got my all 50 states run, just happened to have that the post office came out with the stamp arrangement showing all 50 states. So I was able to use the state stamp on all of the chapters for the running book. So anyway, we're going to start way back when, in about 1947, little town, Rock Falls, Illinois. The grade school track team, right there in the middle. I'm the biggest guy in the group, if you'll see that. Can you believe that? Look at the track shoes that we had, if you would. Unfortunately, it was a small school, small town. None of us had track shoes. So when we ran on the track, we had to run barefoot. So we did that, and some of those cinders were a little tough once in a while. Anyway, had a great start in running. We were able to win the state track meet at that time, also won the state basketball title at the same time. Anyway, high school, 440 relay team, had the school record there. Fortunately, had the good fortune of being able to go to Monmouth College on a football scholarship, if you can think of that. I weighed all of 142 pounds, number 64 there on the front row. Anyway, surprise, surprise, first session, Monmouth College coach on the left-hand side there, Jelly Robinson said, okay, boys, we're going to see where you all are. We're all going to go on a 5-mile run. And I had never run more than 100 yards in my life. And so that's when my first introduction to long distance running. Anyway, I wanted to show you this. My earliest running shoes were called Boston 73s. And look at the padding on those shoes. And I went through a whole bunch of pair of those in my days. Want to inject here my Elmer from amateur radio days, W9IAD. It's called the Industrial Arts Department. My industrial arts teacher in high school, and got me involved in amateur radio. And that's my first rig there with my 2 little daughters. And it was in a closet in Elgin, Illinois. Just wanted to throw this in here. My running my running days were over, and so I'm still have an indoor bicycle that I'm getting about 65 miles a week on. And as you see, I have a neat little deal where I put my radio, my 857 on the rig, and at least 3 days a week, I'm doing my exercising, talking to my friend Buddy Boy and group across the country on 17 meters. Okay, why am I not getting a slide turn? Okay, anyway, got my first novice in 1958, by the way, and got moved around the country. We moved from Illinois to New York City to Boston and Massachusetts to Atlanta, Georgia, and to Texas. And when I was in Atlanta, I was able to join the Atlanta Track Club, and had my first marathon at the Stone Mountain Marathon, 5 times around Stone Mountain in Atlanta. And at that time, I started, in fact, around that time, 1973, I started keeping track of my miles on a logbook. And also around that time, I had been able to go to Boston to see what the Boston Marathon was all about. And I was amazed. I always thought that people who ran marathon were super athletes. And I found that there were short people, tall people, skinny people, old people, young people, blind people. I thought, well, I guess maybe I could do that. So anyway, started me on my marathon trek. So when I when I was in Atlanta, I had joined the Atlanta Track Club and had a great time there. And after many 10K runs around the area, and lots of places to run in that northern Georgia area. So I got transferred to Dallas, Texas, and was able to stay planted there for 23 years. I found that every weekend there was a group called the Dallas Cross Country Club that ran around White Rock Lake every weekend as for training runs, and these were a group of marathoners. And this is a map of the lake here, and it was 11-mile loop, and we did that at least on a Saturday and Sunday mornings. We at least did 11-mile loop around the lake. So along that time, I had found a good friend named Bud Fouts, and he became one of my great running friends through all 23 years that I was there. And Bud was a long time resident of Dallas, having been a SMU graduate, and stayed right there in hometown. And he knew every place to run in the whole Dallas area, as well as every place to go for breakfast. So I took note of it in my log every time that we went to a new place with Bud, and I went and logged 85 different areas that we went to and made runs in the Atlanta area. Some of those more than once. And going back to the area where this is a place called Big Thicket, where we met and around the White Rock Lake. And in my running around that lake for 23 years, I also noted that there were 62 different runners, and I noted each one of those occupation, and it was quite an education and quite a fun time. Anyway, thought about running Boston Marathon, and my friends there certainly helped me get prepared for that, and spent in training. I remember running at least 50 miles a week, and sometimes I would get up to 80 miles a week in training for the Boston Marathon. And here is my little friend and trainer at Hoppington, which is 26 miles away from the end in Boston. This is what we looked like when we started back then in that was, I'm trying to find the date here. Can't think of the date. Anyway, in order to get into Boston, you had to qualify, and I had qualified in a marathon around White Rock Lake in 1977. And those days, you had to write a letter to the people at the marathon, and you can see at the top of here, I got this acknowledgement back from J.D. Simple, who was the guy who ran the Boston Marathon. And if you didn't get an entry from him, you didn't get in the marathon. So anyway, that was the fun thing. The shoes that I ran my Boston Marathon in, and look at the wonderful padding that those had. And anyway, a great time, great experience. And this is what this guy looked like after the Boston Marathon. Completely spent, but I made it. Anyway, through this picture in here, this was my little wife. He trained with a couple of friends for 18 weeks to run her first marathon at 60 years old. And that was her only marathon. And as it turned out, that was the last marathon for me. Going back to the places that we ran around the Dallas area, the flowering in the springtime and the summer in Dallas was just absolutely gorgeous. This is kind of an indication of the places where we went for weekend runs sometimes, and the beautiful flowers and the blue bonnets. And got to tell you this story. One day running around White Rock one Saturday morning, probably on a hot summer day, 100 degrees and 100% humidity, someone mentioned that, boy, wouldn't a cold beer taste good after one of these runs? So I volunteered to the next week to bring some cold beer for after our run. So I did that, and it became very popular. So then we decided that we would each one of us would bring some different kind of beer every weekend, and I started keeping track of who was bringing the beer and what the beer was. And then I decided, why don't I just save a bottle and a can, and kind of a little collection. So we did that, and when I moved from Dallas to Arizona, had to decide what I was going to do, and I had collected 880 bottles and cans of beer that we consumed a little bit on the weekends, and that was quite some. I did not bring those with me. I had a neighbor who wanted to put them in his office, so that's what happened to those. Anyway, there was good stuff and there was some awful bad stuff. Anyway, I did take a picture, by the way, of each bottle and each can, got them all computerized and rated from 1 to 10. So fun times. Another little fun thing that happened when I was in Dallas is that both my oldest daughter there on the right and my lovely wifey, there was some kind of a run for I believe it was for autism or something, and it happened to be at a Reunion Tower. And so I convinced the two of them to join me to run up to the top of Reunion Tower. And it was only 560 feet up. But anyway, we were all able to do that and had a good time doing it. Another fun thing that happened is that when he was there, it was one of the Olympics, and the Olympics were held in Houston, I believe. And the Olympic torch is always brought across the country to the final place where the Olympics are held. So the torch had to come through Dallas, and so they were looking for volunteers to carry the torch. So this group got together, and we carried the group across the city and passed it on to someone. And here's my friend Bud and myself carrying the torch through the streets of Dallas. Anyway, I said I'd been very healthy. Only really injury I had in all my years of running is that on a 10K race one day, somebody cut across in front of me, stepped on my foot, and broke a bone in my foot. So anyway, that's the only thing that really happened to me physically. Also in Dallas, I had the privilege of joining a group of guys that went to the famous aerobic center by Dr. Ken Cooper in the days of aerobic running. And we were the guinea pigs for Dr. Cooper as far as long distance running are concerned. And we also had the pleasure of having a lot of world-class athletes come in to be tested by him. And just happened that Frank Shorter, the Olympic 10,000 meter champion, was there one day. So that was a fun time. That's my little wifey with him. Coming to a really fun time. As I mentioned, the flowers around Dallas at this time of the year were just absolutely gorgeous. And so my wife and I were out one Sunday morning. We were going for a run through the Highland Park area where this is typical of what the flowers look like. And so we had stopped to take a look at these flowers. And all of a sudden, I looked around the corner, and this is what I happened to see. I saw this guy coming around the corner, and there was an old car with people in it alongside of him. And I looked and I saw this, and I said to Shirley, I said, "That's the president. I'm going to go run with him." And she said, "You can't do that." I said, "Yeah, I think I can." Anyway, I said, may I join you? And he gave me this, "Yeah, come on." So I started to cross the intersection. And by the way, these pictures I had to take off of television, and there wasn't anyone taking pictures of this. So this came from a television. This is me joining President at an intersection there. And you can see the car on the right. As I went across the street, that car stopped, 4 doors opened, and 4 people got out of that car and started heading towards me. And the president said, "That's okay, it's okay, he's been invited." So anyway, I had the opportunity of running down through about 2 miles through the streets of Dallas, Texas with President and had great conversations with him. It was just a point where he had put a running track around the White House, and we talked about that. And the reason for him being in Dallas was that his brother, Billy, was being married at the White Rock Lake that weekend. So anyway, what a fun thing that happened there. Anyway, got to the end, and I had reporters all over the place asking me how I got to run with him and what it was about and what it talked about and so forth. And I went up to one of the reporters, and I asked him, I said, "You know, is there any way that I can get a recording of what just happened here, that I ran with the president for a couple of miles?" So he gave me a phone number, and he said, "Remember, just call this number at about an hour and they'll be able to help you out." So I got back home, and I had to go back and find Shirley for a while before I went home. Got home, I called this number, and I introduced myself, and I said, "This is Bill May, or I said, I just had the opportunity of running with the president." And the person on the end of the phone said, "Yes, we know, Mr. Maynard." So all of a sudden, they knew everything about me, and that I had ran with the president. So anyway, what a fun time. I was able to record off of television these pictures and put them into the book with me. So anyway, I did take all of that information to Washington, D.C. At another time, and went to the White House and was able to finagle through a friend a personal visit through the White House and give the information to the head usher, who promised to give it to the president, and that so he could acknowledge it for me. And guess what? Never heard a thing. So anyway, that was a fun time with our president. Spent a lot of time in Washington, D.C. with various things over the years, and I would stay north of the Capitol and be able to run down to the mall and around the White House on a number of occasions. And I found a very fun thing to be able to do. If I naturally didn't carry a cell phone with me, didn't have any back at those times. But if I saw a group of people, I would ask them and say, "Would you be kind enough to take a picture of me, and I'll be able and send it to me, and I give them the address, and I'd be happy to pay you for it." Surprisingly, people would do that for me. And so I was able to get this picture in front of the White House at one point, and also right in front of Abe. And they would send pictures. They sent me these pictures back. Okay, on to another run. Discovered that I was getting close to getting 50 states in, and I determined that, gee, you know, there's a place where maybe I can get maybe if I do it right, I can go 5 states in one day. So my little wife and I went to Rapid City and stayed there overnight. Got up in the morning and drove to Wyoming. Got a mile in Wyoming, or a mile or two, I don't know, maybe I run 2 or 3 miles in Wyoming, then went to Montana, then went to North Dakota, went back to South Dakota, and then to Nebraska. And I was able to accomplish to run five states in one day. And that was a fun time. That was an exciting time to be able to do that. And this is like running out of nowhere, going from somewhere going nowhere. That's what kind of it looked like on the first day of the 5-day. And I did get my picture taken in each one of the state deals. And there's Montana and South Dakota. And there's our presidents up on there. Anyway, that was quite fun time. And I feel like I'm going real quickly here, but I want to get done before everybody goes away here. Another good running friend here, a guy named Wayne Snaps, running around the White Rock Lake one day, said, you know, he said, let's think about running the Pikes Peak. And I really didn't even know what Pikes Peak was. And I did determine that it was 14,104 feet to top of Pikes Peak. So we decided that, yeah, we could try to find a few hills around Dallas and we could run a few hills. No big deal, we can do that. So anyway, the wisdom in those days was that if you wanted to run at altitude, you either had to go spend a week or 2 at that altitude and to be able to do some running there, or you could do the alternative, that's just sneak up on it and go the day before and you can do it. Well, unfortunately and fortunately, we went there and snuck up on that. This is what it looked like at the start of running to the top of Pikes Peak. And I think I had the look on my face, do I really want to do this or not? So anyway, up we went. This was about, I don't know, probably at 10,000 feet, where I was starting to get a little bit nauseous and a little headache and so forth, and looking up, only a few thousand feet to go, and that was up. Anyway, made it to the top of Pikes Peak, which is one of my fun accomplishments, and I don't want to do it again. On to another fun run. This guy, Bobby Hancock, was an old-time marathoner. To look at him, you think that he couldn't run across the street, but he got to the area where he could run 50 milers very easily. Well, he had gone up into to Vermont to run the 100-mile Vermont run at one year, and he was only able to go 50 or 60 miles, and so he was really disappointed and really wanted to go back and try it again. So I made a deal with him. I said, Bobby, I tell you what, we'll go up there with you and we'll get you going, and I'll pick you up at the 65-mile mark and I'll run you in the last 35 miles. And so that was the deal. So we went up to Vermont. This is what it looked like about 4 o'clock in the morning when they started this. And the run was a 24, you had to finish it in 24 hours. So this is what it looked like when he started. This is what he looked like when I met him about the 65-mile mark. And he was, he needed an escort for sure. He needed a guide. So anyway, we got to the 85 miles and he said, Bill, I tell you, I just cannot go any farther. He said, I feel so bad. You came all the way up here to help me run this 100-miler, and all I could get was 85 miles. I mean, can you imagine somebody saying, can't believe it, running 85 miles and then apologizing that's as far as they could go? So anyway, we called it a day, and it just happened that Ben and Jerry's was close by, so we spent a few hours at Ben and Jerry's absorbing ice cream to kind of soothe things down. Another fun run. Found out that there was a marathon in Indianapolis, Indiana, that started at downtown and ran out and around Indianapolis and ended up at the speedway, at the finish line on the speedway. So we made a trek to Indianapolis, and I'm in this crowd somewhere, and this is at the finish line, going across the brick line at the Indianapolis. Quite a thrill, quite a lot of fun, and that was one of the highlights of my running. Another fun thing that happened, I ran a whole bunch of, ended up running about 15 marathons, and I don't know, maybe 50 10Ks, something like that. I was over 35 miles half a dozen times or so. But anyway, most of the runs, we had T-shirts that were available for the particularly the 10K runs. And so I had gathered all of these T-shirts, and I thought, gee whiz, they're just they're just in the closet or a cabinet. And I thought, I wonder if I could cut out a patch of each one of those. And I took them to my little mother in Northern Illinois, and she took 42 of these and made a quilt out of them. So I still have that, and it's quite a fun thing to be able to have that available to me. Another fun thing I did, I was in Dubuque, Iowa one time. By the way, I was traveling the whole country, all the way across, all the way from one side to the other, pretty much at ease when I wanted to, in the good weather. And this was just after the movie had come out with Kevin Costner called The Field of Dreams. And if you remember that, it was a baseball diamond out in the middle of a cornfield. And I found out that was close to Dubuque. So I thought that would be a fun place to run. So I drove out there one day by myself, and I got out of the car and ran around it a little bit. And the whole thing was that remember that Kevin Costner came out of the cornfield. So I found somebody to take a picture of me coming out of the cornfield and sending the picture back to me. So anyway, another fun deal. Okay, another fun run. I had determined that I had 2 states to go to get my 50 runs completed. And one of them was in Utah. I had never run in Utah. So I had a trip planned to Portland, Oregon, to fly to Portland to play with some customers in a golf tournament. So I thought, gee, I could fly into Utah to Salt Lake, and I could get a run in Salt Lake, and then I could go to Portland, and I just might be able to find a flight to Alaska while over the weekend. So I did fly into Salt Lake, and got a run in and ran. Unfortunately, I found out that I stayed in a hotel in the lowlands, and I ran up the hill around the Mormon temple and back, and I didn't realize that it was all uphill to that temple. So anyway, it was a little bit tough, but we got it done. Came back, went to the golf tournament in Portland, finished up there about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I found a flight at 5 o'clock in the evening out of Portland to Anchorage. So I flew all night. First time I'd ever done that. It was quite an experience flying without getting dark. And I got to the Hilton about, I don't know, 3 o'clock in the morning or something, and slept for a few hours. Went down and asked the clerk if there was a good running place anywhere that I might go for a run. And the young lady said, gee, around the corner is the Tony Knowles Coastal Trail, which I think goes out and back at about a 10-mile run from the start there. So I was able to go out and get my final 50-mile run in in Alaska. And so after that run, I decided that, gee, I need to go to breakfast someplace. I remember finding a place that was called Blondie's, as I remember. And I had a wonderful breakfast with all kinds of elk meat, sausage and pancakes and whatever. And was going to stay during the next night also. So I decided that, gee, I need to celebrate. I need to find the finest restaurant that I can in Anchorage and have a wonderful dinner. So I found a place, and it was called Simon's and Seafort's Saloon and Grill. And so I went there, and I had a beautiful, beautiful table overlooking the water. And I had a wonderful meal. And the young gentleman that was there that asked me what brought me to Anchorage, and I told him the story. So when it was time to bring the bill to me, he brought me the bill and said, "Hey, Mr. Maynard, this is on us to celebrate your 50th state." So anyway, that was a real fun time, and completed my 50 states, and I was able to return, and this is for you, Glenn. I was able to return to Alaska on 2 other occasions, and I ran down these 2 close to 100-pound halibuts. So anyway, just wanted to pass that to you. Another one of my fun times. So anyway, I want to conclude here by saying that my miles running across the country taught me a lesson or two. Whenever possible, I stopped for areas of interest, and more importantly, I stopped to smell the roses, and what beauties they were. I ended up about, let's see, I ran about 35,000 miles on the road, and about 15,000 miles on a Nordic track, and I'm up to about 3,000 miles on my bicycle. So ended up 50 states, and had a good fortune I've ran in 18 countries. So with my trips to Europe and my trips with my friends in the Caribbean, I had 18 countries that I was able to run into. So you might not believe this, but I used to be tall until I ran all those miles. I'm now only down to about 5'5". So anyway, I might conclude by saying the trails were sometimes long and uphill, but the rewards were bountiful and will last forever. So that's it. That's all, folks.
Awesome. Thank you, Bill. You can unshare, and then we can